right. Well, just think of how much better it's going to be now.
Totally. All right. Hey, y'all. Welcome to the Red Hat, Blue Hat Talk. I'm Doug Pagitt. This is Casey Franklin. We just had to restart the stream because we had a little bit of an echo happening on this end. So glad we got that straightened out and hope it is fully straightened out. So this is a conversation that Casey and I are choosing to have on Mondays, where we take a conversation we've been having over text for, I don't know, a year or so, based on a long-term friendship of decades, but we disagree about Donald Trump. And we have so much else in common, so much else, our social location, our experiences. We've been friends, as I said, for decades. We're both faith leaders from the same part of the country, even though Casey has figured out how to get an upgrade and move to Colorado, at least an elevation upgrade, if not anything else. So we have a lot in common, but then we come to Donald Trump and boy, we just, it's so different. And I'm very intrigued in this, partly personally and partly the work that we do at Vote Common Good, about identity and how people frame their understanding of themselves and of their beliefs and others. So Casey has been good enough to come on. We started last week or a week ago, 2 weeks back now, I guess. And I led that conversation this week. Casey's going to lead this one. And we have a little bit of music at the end. We're going to play some music on guitars separately. We're not playing together yet, partly because I'm not good enough to play along
We'll
with
get there.
So Casey, good to see you. And thanks for restarting all this with us.
Thank you. It's great to be here. It's always a pleasure, Doug. Thank you so much for just allowing me to be a part of this. And it's a huge honor for me. And I really appreciate it. So it's always great to be with you, my friend.
Well, thanks, buddy. All right. So I got a blue hat on. I'm the one that has a real problem with Donald Trump. I have said out loud, I've done it for my work. I think Donald Trump is a threat to the well-being of this country and all who live in it and the planet and all who lives on it, not as a human being, but as the president of the United States. I believe Donald Trump is a beloved child of God, as we all are, but not every light of the world and salt of the earth should be the president of the United States, and he's the front of that list in my book. So, but we're going to talk about these issues. And Casey, you've been willing to support Donald Trump in our conversations and publicly, and you even have some hats. You're not wearing one today, so
Stay tuned. Stay tuned.
that's right.
Speaking of my hat, I just want to mention that I got a little bit of red and a little bit of blue, and just a statement about how conciliatory we need to be with people who we disagree with, and I think that's very important. And hopefully, we can show the world that you can still be friends and have vehement disagreements along these lines. And also, just want to make a shout out to the Lonesome Pine at Bay Lake, Minnesota.
Yeah, baby.
And it's a beautiful place. If you've never been there, I highly recommend it. So, Minnesota at heart here.
Casey, I know you have a long list of things that, I mean, I've been coming at you pretty aggressively in texts and so on, because I'm trying to help you detach from your commitment to Donald Trump. And so that puts you on the, obviously on the defense. And I want to be careful with that with anybody, because, it's not really a good idea to try to change anyone's mind. I don't think it's polite or it works, just causes conflict. But that doesn't mean we can't express our opinion. It doesn't mean we can't help somebody if we believe that they're open to the input. But you also have some things that you think I should change my views on. Like if I have some concerns about someone being in what's increasingly looking like I don't know, some sort of a thought control group that is Trump supporting. You have some concerns of your own, and you were bringing those up before we had to restart all of this because of the echo.
Yeah, no, and I'm looking forward to this. Thanks for letting me kind of take the lead. I'm anxious to share some stuff with you, ask you some questions, and then also, I don't know, you've got some stuff that you want to share with me, and then we'll end with some music. So, but I kind of want to lead off with kind of where we ended up going last time, talking a little bit about the media and how the media treats people on the right differently than people on the left, and kind of one of the things that struck me as I thought about this a little bit more and had some time to reflect from our last conversation is if you just take a look at Joe Biden and just his struggle with stairs and balance and bicycles, and I'm not trying to make fun of him at all. I actually am concerned for him and really am worried about him actually. But he does seem to struggle with this, and it happens a lot. Um, and it just struck me, here in the last couple of years or so, just the difference in
Hmm.
the way that the media covers that and the way the media covered Donald Trump when he was president. And I think, and memory serves, I think he may have tripped once, if I remember right. And the media, the mainstream media, went absolutely ballistic.
Hmm.
And I don't know if you remember that. I was actually trying to find the clip, but uh, being that Google doesn't show things like that, I could not find it. So
Hey,
if you
I
could
just
find
want
that,
people to not. I just want people to not miss your comment. Could you made that kind of comment to me before that you believe that Google search
oh,
engines actually hide information like that, and that it's out there, but Google won't let
yeah,
you find it, which
yeah.
I find to be
Well,
it's just no, that's not how Google works. But
let me, let
anyway,
me let me put it this way. Let me put it this way. I'm not suggesting that they necessarily hide things, but they definitely have an agenda with what they produce in search results. When you search for things, what comes up first
hmm.
or on the first page. I mean, literally, when I typed in, and you can do it yourself, Donald Trump trip or Donald Trump trips,
Hmm.
and I couldn't find anything at all about that. So, anyways, maybe you could find it for me and show me later. You would think they would have it up there though, because they made such a big deal about it at the time. But it's just an example, like when Joe Biden trips on these stairs going up to the airplane or whatever.
Hmm.
Um, uh, no, there's hardly any concern about that. No one calls for his health or his. They don't say, hey, maybe he should see a doctor or he should get a checkup. And I don't think they've
Hmm.
published any of his health results. So there's just such a different treatment. I mean, when it
Hmm.
happened to Donald Trump, he tripped one time, and the media went crazy, like calling for his resignation. He's not fit to be president. There's something wrong with him physically, so on and so forth. And it's so obvious to anybody with just a normal, unbiased, objective look at someone to tell when Biden is on TV or whenever that he's got some issues. He's got
Hmm.
some issues. There's some mental issues, definitely. There's times when he can barely form a sentence, and then he's tripping all the time. So, but the media doesn't focus on that. They don't express any concern about that at all.
Hmm.
So that I've noticed, anyways. So I'd love to hear your comments on that.
Yeah. Well, look, I think the one of the times Trump tripped or whatever, there was a time walking down Air Force One or at West Point rather, when he was walking to West Point. I Googled, it came up pretty quickly. That was one of them. And then
Okay,
it was like Trump
I probably
stumbles
just
on his words and whatever. And then I just now Googled Biden stumble.
okay.
First one, YouTube, Biden trips. The next one, Forbes magazine, Biden stumbles. Newsweek, Biden stumbles. Fox News, Biden falls. Boston Herald, Biden stumbles, Dems make crazy bet. New York Post, Biden trips walking up to Air Force One. CNN, White House says Biden is fine after tripping on sandbag. AP News, Biden got his sandbag after he tripped and fell. Biden goes on stage at Air Force commencement and trips. That's just the first 10, very first things. That's it.
Well,
From
you're
the
a
New
better
York Times, no, I just Googled it. From the New York Times, AP, CNN, New York Post, Boston Herald, Fox News, Newsweek, Forbes, all of them cover it. So
okay. But here's the
this is the
question.
thing,
Here's the question.
Casey.
Well,
It's
hold on.
curious to me. Well, let me just finish my reaction.
All right.
It was covered so much, everyone knows it. There isn't the idea that anyone pays attention to news. Now, granted, anybody news paying attention knows that. I just don't think it's being covered up.
No, I'm not saying it's being covered up. I'm talking about the way it's covered. Okay.
Hmm.
So, if you looked at any of those articles, uh, or any of the news broadcasts about it, um, I'd be curious to see if you find much where they're actually saying, "Ooh, this is a concern. Is
I
the
hear you.
president okay?"
Yeah.
Should
Well, I
he
think
should
that
he
is the
be
number one
a doctor?
reason why so many Democrats and others are concerned about electing someone of his age. I think age is the primary concern. It's in all the polls. I hold that concern,
Right.
not because of stuff like that. Because
Yeah.
literally, we all know 80-year-olds who fall, and that's it. Like they don't, their life takes a really, really difficult turn. So
Yeah.
again,
Yeah.
no, I think it's exactly the reason that you think that people are rightly, in my view, concerned about the age of anyone who has a burden and responsibility like the presidency to make
Sure.
sure that they're healthy and stable enough. I think it's a, it's a so again, the idea that like it's covered, but not as is he qualified to run for reelection. All of these articles that I've ever read about that, so I'm guessing that's going to be these. That's the
Mhm.
very premise of why this is newsworthy. Because Barack Obama tripped on stuff before, nobody thought a thing of it. Not a big deal.
Yeah.
When somebody in their upper 70s, Donald Trump, when it happened to him, or when it's Joe Biden, it's a real concern. Yeah,
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
think the media covers it now. Look, I read the New York Times and CNN and AP News. I see all that all the time. So maybe that's why I saw it. I don't know. Like it shows up in my news feed, and I pay a lot of attention to
Yeah.
that stuff, and it's up there and around.
Yeah. And again, I'm not, and you're a way better Googler than I am. I admit that. But,
um,
and I'm not trying to say they're not covering or that they're trying to hide it. All I'm
yeah.
saying is the way they present it as as compared to the way, and I wish we could find that clip, as the way they talked about, as the news media talked about it when Trump tripped once, as opposed to Biden tripping multiple times, and the way that the coverage was. They
Hmm.
don't seem to be as concerned. They're not, no one's calling for his resignation. No one's saying he's unfit to be president. Now they might say, well, yeah, age is a concern. We need to think about that for, the next time around, whatever. But, as compared
I
to
see. Hmm.
what happened to
Yeah.
Donald Trump, it's quite different in my mind, the way
Okay.
I remember.
Yeah, I just don't think it's all that difference. I don't. I think people calling for Donald Trump to resign was over the things for which he was impeached, not, and for other dereliction of duty, not because people were saying even when he had his dementia test, and it's not a lot of presidents there where the doctor recommends a dementia test. They did for Donald Trump. That raised a lot of concerns. So he did a whole press conference with Fox News about it. That's when he did they asked me a series of words, woman, man, camera, like that. And he had to get out in front of it because there was real concern from his neurologist that he needed to have this particular test. And he said he did fine on it. So that's all you can take. Yes, those are going to be concerns. Every president releases their medical records. Trump did it less so and under, not as completely as others. Biden releases all of them. So yeah, this stuff is out there. It should be. I feel like it's on par. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe certain topics at certain times are covered more in news cycles than others. But uh, I'm not sure that's, to my mind, that's not a great example of media bias. But look, I'm not going to. Well, Casey disappeared. I'm not going to suggest that media bias isn't something that we should be concerned about. There's no doubt that any kind of media bias that could exist is something we should be concerned about.
You know,
Hey, welcome back. I was
I
just
totally
saying,
lost you there.
yeah,
I'm back though.
yeah. Welcome back. It's like we're on Star Trek and people kind of beam in and beam out.
My
Um,
screen totally froze.
I was just saying, look, media bias is important. We should pay attention to it, and I think we can think about it and should think about it
Well,
a
let
lot.
me ask you this question. Do you believe there's a media bias?
I think the media is so wide and so complex and so many outlets that it's very easy to find media bias. If I watch Fox News, OAN Network, I listen to Steve Bannon, I pay attention to Roger Stone's media outlets, they're absolutely biased. If I listen to this podcast, if I listen to other Mother Jones, if I listen to Rolling Stone or Vanity Fair, totally. We've all got a thing about we think Donald Trump is a real threat. More commentary. That's all media.
Yeah.
Do I think that the mainstream typical classic media, legacy media, and other new pieces of media. No, I think that journalism is not biased. This is going to bother some people who listen to this podcast a lot. I don't think Fox News outlets
Mm,
are biased. I think Fox evening commentary is biased,
mm,
but I think their news gathering side, it's not. I don't
mm.
think MSNBC on their news gathering side is. I think their commentary is. That's what commentary is for.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think PBS or CBS or NBC or the New York Times or these kinds of the Washington Post are, even the Washington Times. I think these are people trying to do legitimate journalism, and in the mix of all that is a lot of commentary.
Mm,
Now, I will add,
yeah.
what people are most interested in is the commentary. The news
Right.
people will tell you all the time, folks don't like watching the straightforward news. They want it with a little bit of, flavor to it, a little bit of direction, not just straight up news. So
Yeah.
yeah, but look, media in the United States of America is enormous. I mean, where does it stop and where does it begin? It's really, really hard to tell. And what one declares as the media, another person would say, I don't consider that to be media. I consider that to be,
Yeah. Yeah.
commenters or provocateurs. I mean, Roger Stone, in fact, one of his defenses in the trial that's coming is that he is not a media person. He's a provocateur, right? But
Right.
so
Right.
because he's trying to say, hey, I wasn't ginning up the fake electors thing. I was just doing what you do when you're a provocateur. It's like,
Mm,
okay,
yeah. Mm,
I think a jury's going to have a chance to hear that argument. So yeah, I'm personally, I'm not somebody who thinks, hey, that the real problem is the media. I know a lot of people think the real problem is the media, but I,
well,
I I
I
like it that there's a lot of choices, and I like it that the choices are biased and some of them aren't, and I think it makes us work for it.
okay. Okay. No, I appreciate that. Yeah, I can see kind of where you're coming from. It is vast. It is complex, but I think, generally speaking, of course, it used to be much more true when we only had three channels to watch. When you had your old, some of us remember the old TV where you had to actually get up out of your couch and turn the dial.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but
Uh,
but I'll tell you, like some people didn't think that world was unbiased. The people who were ever on the fringes, right?
right.
So the more conservative people never thought Dan Rather or Walter Cronkite was telling it straight. The more
Yeah.
progressives never thought that. People that
Yeah.
felt marginalized from main society didn't think the news was being unbiased. So we can
Well,
fantasize that there was a time when it was more unbiased, but
yeah.
not if you were someone who didn't agree with what was being said on the news. You most
Mm,
certainly didn't think it was unbiased. There was all kinds of push and pressure about. I mean, I remember my dad railing about Dan Rather. Like, oh, that guy is untrustworthy on CBS. I
no,
don't know who he liked, but I just know he didn't like that guy.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah. No, I hear you. And like I mentioned last time, I believe that the media, it can't not be biased. I mean, it's kind of like individual human beings. We can act like we're objective. We can pretend like we can even try to be objective and unbiased, but we're inherently all biased. So when a person's on TV, whether they're commentating or they're trying to actually report the news as they see it or as it is, uh, it's impossible to be completely unbiased. So my issue with the media is, number one, there's certain mainstream channels where most people get their information from. I know there's Roger Stone, there's AON, but I bet a lot of people don't watch that. The audiences for those are small and relative to CNN, MSNBC, and Fox. So, my contention is that the media is always going to be biased, and my issue is, if someone's going to be a commentator, then they should be very clear that they're commentating and not just reporting the news. And I think for the general public, that line has been blurred so much that it's like people don't even know really what they're watching.
yeah.
and they don't even realize that they're getting commentary when they think they're getting the news. So I think there should be a finer line there. But I also think that uh, the media has always been biased. And if you look at just coverage of Trump versus coverage of Biden, you see an obvious bias in the mainstream media.
Okay. All right. I hear you.
We can move on to the next topic.
Great.
Uh,
Do you have one, or can I show you this little slide here that I texted you earlier and
oh, sure.
said I
Yeah,
was
go
going to
ahead.
make sure and put them,
Yeah, go
because I think this taps into this. This was just a news story that came out today from this, and it's up on the screen for people who are watching this on the live streams. People are just on the podcast. I'll tell you what it says. This is a YouGov poll done in the last week or so, and the statement is: among Trump voters, what percentage of those people said that they feel that what this particular person tells you is true?
ahead.
So they poll people: if Donald Trump tells you something, do you think it's true? And among Trump voters, 71% of people say that if Trump tells them something, they believe it's true. Family and friends, 63%. So 8% more people trust Donald Trump straight away than their family or their friends. Conservative media figures, this is Trump supporters saying, how many of you think that when conservative media figures tell you something is true? It's 56%. And when religious leaders tell you something, it's 42%. Now, people like me and a lot of people sort of have the view that I have of the world are like, this is deeply troubling. The one thing Donald Trump, I don't think, has ever purported himself from his first books that he wrote or his own, interviews when he was just running his business, or faking when he's calling up as his own press secretary, or the multitude of times where he just says things that are not true before ever running for public office. Many times, just literally how many floors are in Trump Tower, lies about it. How many people were at an event? I mean, but 71% of people, 71% of people who support Trump say he's the person I trust more than I trust family and friends, religious leaders, or even conservative media. Casey, this was really telling to me. And I immediately was so grateful that we were going to be talking today, because I'm like, well, I think Casey's in this category. And just based on our conversations, you're like, if Donald Trump, says he didn't do it, he didn't do it, no matter what anybody else says. But I look at this and I think, if this were anybody else, like if I was around friends and they said, oh, I follow a religious leader, and I believe, 71% of us believe the religious leader is telling us the truth, and only 42% believe any other religious leader, I'd be like, I think you might be inside of a thought control group. So I wanted your reaction to this. Does this seem about
Oh, yeah.
right to you, the friends that you're around? How does this strike you?
Okay. Well, I've got a couple things I'd like to share about that. Number one, I mean, the percentages are they're kind of tight. I mean, the difference between 71% and 63%, it's not really that big of a difference to me. But I think what this shows is that what the
We got a little glitch there in Casey's connection. So he is in the mountains of Colorado. So that might be partly what's happened. I hope he doesn't drop out again. But if he does, of course, we can bring him back. So I think I'm hearing Casey pretty clear here that he's saying that the difference between those isn't as grand and significant as it might otherwise sound.
All right, are we back?
Yeah, we're back. I was just
All right, sorry about that.
stalling time and saying, I think you're saying the difference between 71 and 63% isn't that big of a difference.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, if it was like, 71% versus like 20% or 30% or something like that, I'd be more
Okay.
alarmed. But what I believe this is showing is that what is happening here is the radical left going after him like they are, targeting him with these indictments, these sham indictments, and targeting a former president is actually uh, sealing their own fate, because what they're doing is they're shoring up his supporters even tighter and stronger. And it's going again. So the point you're making is that what the left is trying to do to Donald Trump isn't working, because instead of pulling supporters away from him, which is what I believe they're trying to do, what they're really trying to do is they're trying to say, I used to be a Trump supporter, but now I'm kind of like, I'm not so sure if I want to
Mm-hmm.
go through with this now. And
Mm-hmm.
the opposite is happening. And that's what this poll shows.
Hmm.
Number one. Number two, I am not in that category. So I want to clarify that right away, because I do not believe that you blindly follow anyone, any human being. So I think that's kind of what this is kind of indicating, is that I'm just going to blindly follow someone no matter what they say. If they, tell me to drink Kool-Aid, I'm going to drink Kool-Aid, whatever.
How
No,
about bleach? How about bleach for
yeah,
COVID?
bleach. Oh, yeah, whatever, whatever. So,
Touche.
and I'm against that. I don't think that's right. That's not healthy. It's not good. And I would tell those people, hey, you know what? I know you like Trump, but let's not blindly follow anyone. That's not healthy.
Okay. Does it concern you at all, though, that out of the three groups, family and friends, conservative media figures, and religious leaders, that Donald Trump is just more believed by Trump supporters than any of those other groups as a whole? Um, I mean, I think the difference between 71 and 63% is pretty,
Well,
pretty
uh,
significant. But
okay. Well, yeah, it concerns me, but I think again, what it's showing is in light of recent events. So I'd love to show you some other interesting polls
yeah,
that which I think I texted you the other day, that show that the majority of the population also don't believe that Trump has committed serious crimes. So if you look at it that way, and you kind of, because no poll should be taken in a vacuum, right?
sure,
There's always
sure.
going to be other things going on around them, other influences, and I think in light of recent events, people are going, you know what? Um, I don't buy all this crap. I just don't. So
Yeah, but I
um,
guess that's fundamentally the question. Why don't they, and why do they consider it to be crap? I mean, I'll just say, for a lot of Republicans, it used to be that law enforcement, the Justice Department, the criminal justice system was seen as trustworthy. The
mhm,
only reason it's now not seen as trustworthy is because it's in opposition to Donald Trump. That's what's concerning. They
mhm,
didn't adjust this based on anything else other than, well, he must not have done anything, even though the charges that are being brought have just all the support of all the ways that we do this in a law and order based nation. Juries and grand juries and judges and witnesses and under oath and all of this. And yet people are like, I don't believe it. So
mhm,
that's fundamentally the thing that I wonder about. Like truly, had it been anti-establishment people who are like, look, I don't buy the whole criminal justice system, and I'm not going to, okay, fair enough. That's not who it is. That's not Casey Franklin, my friend. I mean, that's not the Casey Franklin I've known. That's not a lot of the friends I've known who are Republicans. But what's made them move against the justice system and say that it's all, what word you used, bunker crap or something, is because it's about Trump. But then those same people are like, they should go after Hunter Biden because I'm sure they're trustworthy going against, pursuing Hunter Biden, but they're just not because it's Trump. So I'm not going to believe it if it's Trump. And it's that difference that
mhm,
someone like me just says, what is going on with these folks?
mhm.
How does this make sense? And I'm truly, Casey, I don't understand. And I get it if what you're saying is people are being media obstinate. Okay, they're just pushing back against the media and just being like, oh, I'm not gonna stand for what you're telling me. But I mean, when criminal indictments come out and people are still like, nah, probably just made up. Probably just people lying before grand juries, all to get Trump. The whole thing, 91 federal indictments, all of them just made up. Didn't
Okay.
do anything wrong. They're just going after the guy. And that's the part of the 71% that believe Trump versus all the others that seems concerning, is the difference in how these very same people are about other issues and used to be about everything.
Yeah. Well, I'd love to respond to that. So I hear what you're saying, but the problem is that when you look at the players that are involved, so it used to be that we could put our trust to some extent in the justice system, believing that justice is blind, that Lady Justice is blind. So, even though you still had, judges appointed by one political party or another, there was a general sense that in general, the people involved in the justice system and leading the justice system were at least trying to be unbiased and trying to be objective and not being political. But when you look at the facts and you look at the players involved and you look at what's going on here, you see that that's not the case at all. That's not the case at all. You see Merrick Garland, who was appointed by Joe Biden, who is obviously a political appointee, obviously a Trump hater. Every single one of these judges involved in every single one of these cases has gone on record saying they dislike Donald Trump. I mean, it's so unbelievably biased and set up biased from the very beginning that people like me and others are saying, we're crying foul. We're saying, look, no, this is not objective. This is not justice. This is one political party going after another political opponent. And it just so happens that Donald Trump has a huge lead, as you know, in the race.
Oh, in the Republican race. Yeah, I was going to say the general election.
He does. So, and it used to be that we would say, hey, elections are sacred. Let's not interfere with elections. Let's wait till after the election if we're going to do this. But no, they're timing everything to be interfering with the election. And basically what they're doing is they're saying, look, if you can't beat him, jail him. That's what's going on here.
Okay, so here's the thing. That logic that you just laid out was the reason we know this is unfair is that these people are prosecuting Trump. That shows that they're biased. That's your argument. Because when it was Bill Barr, when it's Bill Barr, former Attorney General, who now says these are credible charges brought credibly against Donald Trump. Bill Barr says that today, said it yesterday, said the day before. Now Bill Barr is out of favor. He's probably being pressured. When it was Jeff Sessions, the Attorney General, who appointed Robert Mueller, the head of the FBI, and a number of other positions as a Republican, immediately it was Mueller's people are bad political people, even Mueller himself. This just happens over and over, Casey. Even for you to say that Merrick Garland, because he's appointed as every attorney general is therefore doing Biden's work. Well, what tells you he's doing Biden's work? You say, well, the proof is that he indicted Trump. No, but, do you see how that can't work that way? That the logic you're using is if they go against Trump, then they've shown that they're biased.
No, that's not it.
Then what's the proof that they're biased other than they've gone against Trump?
Because what they've done with regards to Trump is so unbelievably it's like there's two systems of justice. Hillary Clinton does something and she gets off. Nothing happens. Stacey Abrams says the election was stolen from me. And she still believes to this day, 3 years later, she's the governor of Georgia. Hillary Clinton says the election was stolen from me. She deletes 30,000 emails and bleach bits her server, her private server, where she was obviously trying to hide something by doing that. And nothing happens to her. But then Trump is treated completely differently. If things were treated the same, if the law was applied equally to all of these people, then obviously it would be like, oh, okay, yeah, they're not having a bias here. They're treating everyone the same, but they're not. And that's where we see there's obviously a bias here. In the way that the FBI treats Hunter Biden, I mean, they tipped him off to the interviews. I mean, I could just go on and on and on.
Okay, so can I respond to that? So when Bill Barr and Jeff Sessions were the attorney generals under Trump, They looked in to Hillary Clinton's activities. They didn't charge her. So you're saying it's an unfair system, but Donald Trump appointed Republican attorneys general did not prosecute Trump or Hillary Clinton. And you're saying, therefore, that shows there's bias. How can there be bias when it was the Trump Justice Department that said there's no crime here? So how does this work, Casey? Really, like, just to say, well, she wasn't charged, but she wasn't charged by Republicans over 4 years. Hunter Biden, not charged by Republicans over 4 years of their time leading the Justice Department. I just think it's not true that the Justice Department is simply in either person's. Now, did Bill Barr behave in ways that I was totally uncomfortable with about a whole bunch of things? Totally. But I don't think Bill Barr was absolutely just in Trump's pocket doing whatever he wanted, because he pressured Bill Barr on Twitter and in private meetings repeatedly to charge Hillary Clinton and to charge Joe Biden. That's in testimony from Bill Barr. And he didn't. But now your logic is that Bill Barr and before that Jeff Sessions, these are the people who are biased. So that's what makes me say the problem you have is that anyone who doesn't behave in the way Trump wants, they're biased. Didn't do it, didn't prosecute Hillary Clinton as Republicans. And then Merrick Garland appoints a special prosecutor. And even the special prosecutor is seen as somebody who's corrupt. So I get it. It's your view. I'm not going to try to change your view. I just want you to hear how that sounds when you actually talk about the details of this. It can't be that way. And frankly, your argument is either Hillary Clinton is guilty and Donald Trump is guilty. And my problem is that you didn't prosecute Hillary, so you can't prosecute Donald. If that's your argument, then have at it. But I think your argument is Donald Trump didn't do anything. Hillary Clinton did. Republicans didn't prosecute her when they had control of the Justice Department. And now an innocent person is being prosecuted. So you're not even saying it's unfair treatment. You're saying it's inverted, that the guilty person wasn't charged and the innocent person, lost him again, and the innocent person is. So, okay, he's back. I'm not sure, Casey. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how much. That. Yeah, we know you disappear. You just pop away and then you pop right back on. It's kind of fun. It's like playing I Dream of Jeannie. It's like dunk, dunk, dunk. And so anyway, okay. So that's my response. I don't think you can have it both ways. That it's a corrupt both with Bill Barr and Jeff Sessions and with Merrick Garland. And all the way down the line. And then, same with New York and same with the judge in Florida appointed by Trump and same with the judge in Georgia. And so same with the Republican legislature and governor in Georgia. But all these people are now out of sway with Trump supporters. Brian Kemp from Georgia, the governor. Well, he's totally a rhino. He's not really a Republican. Like, it's just every time someone doesn't go with Trump, they're just out, just chucking people off this boat one after the other. And that's the concerning thing about the 71% number that we looked at earlier.
Okay. Well, I guess we'll just agree to disagree on that. I want to end with I hope we have time, but can you play that?
We got
video
time, baby.
All right, good.
We got time, Gloria. Okay, so do you want to set up this video at all, and then I'll get it ready to play?
Yeah. So again, this is what I'm trying to get across. First of all, the media and the way that they treat Trump versus Obama and Biden and so on, Hillary. So this will kind of highlight that. But the other thing I want to talk about that I think that this video kind of highlights is the sort of the what's the term I'm looking for? The double standard. It's like a double standard because back when Trump was elected, everybody on the left was crying foul. Hillary was saying the election was stolen. The Russians hacked the election, so on and so forth. Trump's an illegitimate president. There were riots. There was violence in the streets. There was all this stuff. And now the shoe's on the other foot. And it's like, oh, no, you're not allowed to question an election. You're not allowed to say that someone that was duly elected by the American people is illegitimate. So that's what I want to kind of highlight in this video.
Sure. So this was pulled off of the Twitter feed and Truth Social feed of a senator from Florida, Marco Rubio, with an introduction to it that said, "When are these people going to be prosecuted?" Which I think was sort of the point you're also making, right?
Yeah.
So now
Yeah.
it's a mashup. It's like 2 minutes and 14 seconds long. I don't know if we need all of it.
Cut
I
it
think you sort of get the point at some
Yeah,
point.
you can cut it early.
Okay, so here we go. So this is Marco Rubio putting this out, saying, "Here's a sign of bias. When are these people who said these things going to be prosecuted?" That's the wrong button.
Hacking the U.S. election.
Hacking the U.S. election.
Russia hacked our election.
The Russians hacked our election.
Russia hacked our election.
Russia hacked our election.
Russian hacking of our election.
Hacking of our election.
Russia hacked our elections.
Russia hacked our elections.
Stolen election.
Russia hacked our election.
Russia hacked our election.
The universal assessment that Russia hacked our election in 2016.
Foreign governments hacked our elections.
Most young Americans consider Donald Trump an illegitimate president. An illegitimate president.
He's an illegitimate president.
Why is he illegitimate? He just won an election.
He's an illegitimate president in my mind. That's it.
I absolutely agree.
Experts urge Clinton camp to challenge election results.
We will see how illegitimate his victory actually was.
He's an illegitimate president.
Russia hacked our election.
Russians hacking our election.
Hacked our election.
Russia hacking our election.
I don't see the president-elect as a legitimate president.
Trump is an illegitimate president who stole the election.
He is not a president.
He's illegitimate, and my biggest fear is that he's going to do it again with the help of Vlad, his best pal. It's terrifying.
Would you be my vice presidential candidate?
Hillary Clinton voters called to overturn election results.
More than 4 million people have already signed a petition on change.org, calling for the electors of the Electoral College to, quote, ignore their states' votes and cast their ballots for Secretary Clinton.
Trump didn't actually win the election in 2016.
We are the victims of a bloodless coup.
He didn't win the general election.
Yo, Electoral College, make Hillary Clinton president, period.
Donald Trump is an illegitimate president.
Illegitimate president.
Dems don't accept Trump as a legitimate president.
This wasn't on the level.
This election was not on the level.
I don't think he's a legitimate president.
Our election wasn't legit.
He got his victory from cheating.
Yes, Trump cheated.
Trump cheated the 2016 election.
He's an illegitimate president.
No validity, no credibility.
And because of that,
Anger at what some see as an illegitimate president.
It will not be a peaceful change of power.
a number of incidents turned violent. Protesters hurled
All
trash.
right, so it kind of goes on and on like that. Goes on and on like that for a while.
Yeah. So here's my comment on that, and then I'll let you respond. So I mean, it's easy to forget. I mean, watching that, I'm like, oh my gosh, I totally forgot that's what was all over the place back in 2016 when Trump won the election. And I mean, people literally were saying Trump is not the president. He is an illegitimate president because he didn't actually win the election. Something happened in the election. Something nefarious took place. Therefore, he's not the duly elected president of the United States. Now we have the shoes on the other foot. Basically, now we have those same people saying Donald Trump is not allowed to say that there was something nefarious that happened. And people who say that the election was stolen in 2020 should all be put in prison because you can't do that. You're not allowed to say that. You're not allowed to think that. And it's such a double standard. It's unbelievable. So I'd love to hear your response.
Look, if I thought that what Donald Trump was being charged with from the U.S. Special Prosecutor was what he said, or that he said the election was stolen, he has every right to say that. The beginning of the indictment says he can say whatever he wants. Doesn't make any difference. Everyone can say it. Donald Trump is not being charged with saying the election was stolen. What Donald Trump is being charged with is 4 charges of an indictment of conspiracy to defraud the United States, conspiracy to obstruct an official proceeding, obstruction of an attempt to obstruct an official proceeding, and conspiracy against the rights of voters. Nothing to do with what he says about it. The indictments, which I know you've read, and other people who watch this might have read them as well, is not that he goes around and even says it at the ellipse as the president and says this, you were all cheated. He can say that all day long. What he can't do is work up a bunch of fake electors, have them sign fake forms and try to insert them. What was being talked about in 2016 was, could electors before the Electoral College vote change their own personal Electoral College vote to match their own impulses, desires, rather than what the state would do? None of them did that for Hillary Clinton. They did it against Hillary Clinton. The Supreme Court has since ruled an elector from a state has to stick with whatever the state laws are. So there was a legal pathway for some people, I think in 4 or 5 states, to change their Electoral College vote. That's what was being talked about. That's not what Donald Trump did. When Donald Trump conspired with others to change the electors, and when he tried to pressure certain elected officials to behave in certain ways, that's not just saying things. He had every legal right to say whatever he wants. He even went to court 67 times. He lost all of them. Those are his rights. That's not what he's being charged with. There is no double standard. Nobody should charge a politician or a commentator or me or you for what we say. Of course not. First Amendment right is you can say what you want, as long as you don't put anybody in harm and you're not threatening someone. There's always limits, but you can talk about that stuff. That's not what Donald Trump is being charged with. So this super mashup, which, by the way, I know some of those clips, and about half of them where they say an illegitimate president is people saying in an interview format, many people in this country believe Donald Trump is an illegitimate president. These are super mash cuts where they take someone's longer statement. Many people believe Donald Trump is an illegitimate president because he didn't win the general election and only the Electoral College. The majority of those comments are about people critiquing the Electoral College as opposed to us selecting someone with a general election. And to a lot of people, it makes them feel like that's illegitimate. That's not the same thing as someone literally trying to stop the counting of the Electoral College votes on January 6th in order to stall them out, in order for them to go back to states so the state legislatures can overturn the official election results in Wisconsin and Pennsylvania and Michigan and Georgia and Arizona. That's what Donald Trump is charged with. So, Casey, I know you want to say it's just double standard. These are just not at all the same things. Donald Trump is not being charged with saying anything that mashup has those people saying.
Okay.
And
Well, I'm really glad to hear.
Can I show you one more little thing? Because I was really proud of finding this one.
Oh, okay.
I know you don't believe the Mueller report, but I just want you to know that the Mueller report put out by the Trump Justice Department, under Bill Barr, signed off on the Mueller report. And the Mueller report says that the Russian government, quote, interfered in the 2016 presidential election in sweeping and systemic fashion and, quote, violated U.S. criminal law. That's in the Mueller report. It's the conclusions of the Mueller report. So when people say the election was hacked, that's what they're referring to. It's not a personal opinion. They're saying that the United States Justice Department, the Chief Law Enforcement Office of the United States of America, has concluded, along with the intelligence community, that Russia interfered in the election. And even though we know that, nobody tried to not have the electors vote for Donald Trump. Didn't happen. People still called him Mr. President. I know there's some people in the chat that are saying, I'll never call him Mr. President. I get it. But Russia did interfere. They did hack the election. I know you don't buy that, but the rest of us who sort of hold to what the Justice Department says in big investigations like that and through the intel believe that that's the case. So the idea that what they're saying, they hacked the election, is equal to Donald Trump saying the election was stolen, just on the facts, they're different. Fair enough. But anybody can say whatever they want about that stuff. What you can't do is what Donald Trump did, which is now the Justice Department says they can prove it, that he knowingly violated and obstructed justice and sought to limit people's voting rights in this country. And they were going to have a trial on that. And then a jury's going to render a verdict. And that's all we've got in this country. Because other than that, buddy, it's just me and you, sharing our opinions. And it's, that, and we have really different data sets about our opinions. So whatever's going to come before a jury is what we've got in this country. And if Donald Trump is found guilty of those 4 charges or of, 86 other charges, then that's going to be that.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that. I just see it so differently. First of all, I want to make sure that you understand that I am really happy to hear that you still believe in our First Amendment rights as protected by the Constitution.
For sure.
Because if that's not here, then I'm in big trouble because I'm speaking out right now. So we're both ultimately in trouble if we can't speak our minds and we can't have free speech. And honestly, I believe that's really what this is about. And I believe that will be proven to be true because even though you think he did all these terrible things, I just don't see it. I think what you guys are saying is that he contested the election and he's not allowed to do that.
That's not what people are saying. That is not that's not what the indictment says.
Right.
It's not what I'm saying. This is what the Justice Department's federal indictment of Donald Trump says. And then it lays it out, in 46 pages of details about that. And that's not even talking about the documents. It's not even talking about the box with the pants and the documents in it. That's a whole.
But here's what I find interesting, Doug. You talk about the double standard. So, here we are. We've got Peter Strzok and we've got Hillary's campaign paying Christopher Steele for a dossier that turned out to be false, lying to a FISA court. You got Comey signing off on it, saying it was verified when it wasn't. It was all hearsay. And to me, you talk about conspiracy to change an election. You've got texts from Peter Strzok to his lover saying, hey, we got to stop this. We cannot allow Donald Trump to be president.
Of the text. Clearly, if you read the whole thing, it was just a guy saying this would be horrible. He wasn't trying to interfere. And if he did, he didn't stop Donald Trump from being the president. I mean,
yeah, but they lied to a FISA court.
Then what you do?
Never been prosecuted for that.
But here's the thing, Casey. Yeah, he wasn't prosecuted. Was it investigated by Bill Barr? Yes. Was it investigated by Jeff Sessions? Yes. Why were charges not brought by Trump's Justice Department?
I don't know.
See, again, the idea that the problem is that the system is biased, it can't be because these charges were not brought by the very people who were appointed by Trump. So sometimes the facts are just the facts, my man.
Wait. So, okay, consider this possibility. Maybe Donald Trump didn't weaponize his DOJ to have these biased people in place that were targeting and going after these political opponents.
Well, if they committed a crime, then it wouldn't be targeting someone. It's enforcing the law. If what you're saying is Bill Barr did not enforce the law when the law was broken, if that's your argument, that Donald Trump said to Bill Barr, don't prosecute Hillary Clinton, don't prosecute Strzok, don't prosecute Joe Biden. He didn't. He said the opposite. But if what you're saying is Bill Barr didn't enforce the law when laws were broken, well, then why would you vote for Republicans? So that can't be the answer. It would be the answer if it was Strzok didn't do anything and he was being prosecuted anyway. Then that would be the case. But I don't think you can make the argument that that Bill Barr not prosecuting Strzok is because he didn't want to be biased. What you're saying is he didn't want to enforce the law. Well, that doesn't make any sense. Why is Bill Barr not enforcing the law? If the law was broken, why didn't he enforce it? Unless he's corrupt too. Everybody. Oh, I thought it was just a pregnant pause, and I think it's just we got to figure out this internet for poor Casey. Poor guy, just in a freeze frame situation right there. And sometimes, and I can't control what's currently on the screen. Sometimes that look isn't great for someone when they happens to any of us when a freeze frame happens. All right. There you go. Hey, Casey, welcome back. At least I hope. Oh, boy. Okay, I think we've... Can y'all hear the dinging? It's got to be driving y'all crazy. All right.
Yeah, sorry
All right.
about that. It's driving
Okay.
me crazy.
All right. So, how about if we go to a song? You got a song? Can we go on
Yeah.
a little music together and all the
Love
rest
it.
of it? Okay.
Yep.
Casey's going to go first, I think. Do you want to tell us the song, or are we just going to hear it?
You're just gonna hear it.
Great.
Hopefully you'll know it.
I think he froze again. It's terrible. It's terrible. Oh, Casey, I feel really bad for you. I think he is frozen again. We're gonna try this one more time, and if it doesn't work, I don't know. Maybe I'll just do my song. And all right, so, Casey, it seems like the internet is getting more unstable as we go. I don't know what is causing the glitches here. I think we're just gonna maybe try this one more time, because if anybody's still watching, thank you for your long suffering and for your patience on this. I'm not even sure Casey's gonna try to call back again, but it might give me an out for not having to do a song, because I was really nervous about having to sing out loud in front of people. All right. Well, I'm not sure what to do here. Doesn't seem to be working. All right. Hey, thanks y'all for being a part of this. Casey and I will be back in another week or so. I'm guessing we'll do another round of this. If you have any questions about any of this, you can email me, Doug@Vote Common Good. You can go over to Vote Common Good and find there's lots of places on there to click and like put in a comment or something. If you have questions you want us to deal with, any of that kind of stuff, we'd love for you to let us know. Any input you have for either of us, we'd be totally up for all that stuff too. So thanks for being a part of our second installment of Red Hat, Blue Hat Talk, and hope you found this beneficial. Jerry Lynn, Jim, Mike, Dave, Joanne, Ren, Stefan, Doug, all the commenters, Yabbits, Emre, Jim, the different Jim. We got Jims all over. Cynthia, all of you who have been making all these great comments. We really appreciate you being a part of all this. And thanks. Okay, maybe Casey, you can hear. I'm just long suffering. Just wanted to give it one more try. One more try, Casey. I'm not sure if it's going to hold together.
Yeah,
but you give it a try.
Well, the south side of Chicago.
I think I got that song, Casey, but then we lost you. Oh, it's just heartbreaking. I'm really sorry for all this trouble, all y'all. All right. Okay, here's mine. I'm gonna do it anyway. I'm just nervous as all get out about this, because I don't normally do this kind of thing. I certainly don't sing, but I've just started playing guitar in the last year and a half, much at the encouragement of Casey. So this feels really good to be able to consider doing something like this and to be able to sing with him. So, all right, here we go. This is one of the songs that has just come to my mind over all of these years of watching Trump and all of this stuff. So here we go. Actually, I'm gonna take my headphones out so I can't hear myself as well. 57 years and my life is still trying to get up that great big hill of hope for a destination. And I realized quickly when I knew I should that this world is made up of a brotherhood of man, for whatever that means. I wake in the morning So I cry sometimes when I'm lying in bed just to get it all out, what's in my head, and I feel a little peculiar. And So I wake in the morning and I step outside and I take a deep breath and I get real high and I scream from the top of my lungs, what's going on? That's how I feel about these last few years. Hey, hey, I say, hey, Casey, what's going on? So I cry sometimes when I'm lying in bed just to get it all out, what's in my head, and I feel a little peculiar. So I wake in the morning and I step outside and I take a deep breath and I get real high and I scream from the top of my lungs, what's going on? And I say, hey, 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 I say, hey, what's going on? And I try, oh my God, do I try? I try all the time in this beautiful nation. And I pray, oh my God, do I pray? I pray every single day for revolution. And I cry sometimes when I'm lying in bed just to get it all out, what's in my head, and I feel a little peculiar. So I wake in the morning and I head outside and I take a deep breath and I get real high and I scream from the top of my lungs, what is going on? And I say, hey, 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 hey. You ever feel that way? Hey, hey, hey. We all say it. Hey, what is going on? 57 years and my life is still trying to get up that great big hill of hope for a kinder nation. All right. I have no idea how that worked, how that sounded, any of the rest of that, but appreciate you all being around and being willing to listen to all that. I really wish we could get Casey back on, give him one last chance to finish up a song, but I think he's disappeared and gone forever. So thanks you all for being a part of this and for tolerating all that chit chat and friendship and sharing a little guitar with one another. So we'll see you on this podcast in a couple of weeks, and tomorrow, right back here in these same places where we talk about politics. Rob Ryerson and I do Common Good Politics. So we'll see you back.